My name's Nick, I'm the founding director of YAKUM. What YAKUM is doing is all about bringing back Amazonian forests through reforestation, but it's also about bringing back native indigenous foods. There's quite a few issues going on in the Amazon. One of them is deforestation, that's pretty well known, but kind of behind that is a sort of historic degradation of local culture. Across the whole Amazon, I think there's more than 300 different indigenous nations, and here in Ecuador, in the whole country, there's 14 different groups. Each of those groups have a distinct language, they have a distinct culture, they have different culture around how they live in forests and how they collect medicines and foods from forests, which plants they domesticate. And so there's a lot of diversity in indigenous culture, but there's a strong push ever since the times of colonization to sort of unify things. And in the temperate climate zones, we have a mentality that we need to kind of save things up and accumulate resources because it's going to be winter. You know, Europeans wanted to accumulate territory and power, whereas over here, there's always been quite a lot of abundance. You know, abundant forests, abundant food, abundant water, and so on. And so that sort of degenerative scarcity mentality came over here and brought with it agriculture that is pushing towards monoculture. You know, you've got big palm oil plantations, you've got cattle ranches that are the opposite of diversity. Whereas Amazonian indigenous peoples are in their family forest farms, they might be cultivating 50 different food plants or 100 different food plants. But over time, those super diverse forest garden, fruit and food systems have been degrading and moving more towards monoculture as cash crops become a thing.
La esperanza de la comunidad, en especial para mí, es que en cada familia tengan variedades de frutas y que puedan probar en los próximos años. Que estamos restaurando y regenerando los bosques con plantas nativas y especies de valor cultural. Sería bastante lindo y hermoso que los jóvenes puedan reconocer y valorar su propia cultura, su propio idioma, su propia gastronomía, su propia forma de convivir.
And so what YAKUM's about is about bringing back that diversity, bringing back the connection to that diversity, inspiring people to become closer to their forests and to their foods and to their medicines, to one another. Climate change is racing ahead. You're going to have millions of hectares of land become unmanageable, unproductive, and people calculating that you can't do physically enough agriculture to feed everyone and do enough reforestation to combat climate change, and we think that's not the case. And indigenous people in the Amazon have shown that you can farm forests and you can produce food. And so we want to reforest all of these Amazonian areas, but with important food plants, and not just, we're not just talking about apples and pears here, we're talking about some of the world's most nutritious foods: ongorawa, acai, camu camu, and a lot of the Amazonian nuts like the huachanso and the sacha inchi. So bringing back the forest, but it's also about bringing back the connection to the forest and all those amazing foods, not just for local communities, but also for world food supply, for there to be enough. Indigenous people are experts in wild foods, they're experts in diversity, and they're experts in living in forests and managing forests and not cutting them down. So this is about supporting them, taking inspiration from them and helping them to be able to offer all of us a better future.